So recently, Tulsi Gabbard went after Kamala Harris. And Tulsi, I don't think, was she on the stage with Kamala Harris last time? She might have been. I think she was. She was in the... Yeah, she was in the second debate with Bernie. Yeah. So she was in that debate, and she did not actually call out Kamala Harris on anything, if I remember correctly. She actually called out Tim Ryan, which was very good. And she decided to, this time she decided to make up for that a little bit here. Because obviously Kamala Harris, I think I mentioned that earlier. I mentioned it earlier, but Kamala Harris got treated with absolute kid gloves in the debate. She got asked no hard questions. She, coasted through that thing with zero problems. People were cheering for her in the crowd. They loved it, fawning over her. So, but Gabbard called her out, and she did a very ballsy thing here, calling out one of the front runners. So I think the front runners right now are Harris, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and I believe Joe Biden. Maybe you can throw Pete Buttigieg in there, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, Biden there. So yeah, I don't think it's Pete Buttigieg. But anyway, Harris is one of the front runners, and Tulsi had something to say about her here. So this is an article from The Hill, and the title says, Gabbard says Harris not qualified to serve as commander-in-chief. White House hopeful Representative Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat of Hawaii, panned Senator Kamala Harris, Democrat of California, Tuesday as being unqualified to be president, saying the California senator lacks foreign policy experience and does not have the temperament for the job. I think one of the things I'm most concerned with is Kamala Harris is not qualified to serve as commander-in-chief, and I can say this from a personal perspective as a soldier. She's got no background or experience in foreign policy, and she lacks the temperament that is necessary for a commander-in-chief, Gabbard said on the podcast Outkick the Coverage. Gabbard, who was deployed to Iraq during her time serving in the Army, National Guard, said she hopes the next president will have more foreign policy experience than past commanders-in-chief. I've seen the cost of war firsthand. I've experienced the consequences of what happens when we have presidents, as we have from both political parties in the White House, who lack experience, who lack that foreign policy understanding, who therefore fall under the influence of the foreign policy establishment and the military-industrial complex. Gabbard said, "This is what's so dangerous. This is what we've seen occurring over time." Harris's campaign shot back, referencing a 2017 meeting between the Hawaii congressman and Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, for which Gabbard has received bipartisan criticism. And this is quoting Lily Adams, who is the communications director for Harris, says, "Definite hard pass on taking national security advice from Assad's cheerleader." Okay. And it says the Harris campaign pointed to Adams' tweet when reached for comment by The Hill. Yeah, I'm sure they did. Gabbard has gone after Harris in the past. I didn't know that. That's interesting. It says most notably earlier this month when she hammered the Californian over her exchange with former Vice President Joe Biden. Oh, yeah. Joe Biden at June's primary debate, in which she confronted him over his past opposition to federally mandated busing. Quoting Gabbard here, it says, "This is just a political ploy, and I think a very underhanded one, just to try to get herself attention, to move herself up in the polls," Gabbard said on CBS News. Now, first of all, before I get to the underhanded comment from Harris's communications director, I don't agree with Gabbard. Well, let's just say I 50% agree, 50% disagree with Gabbard saying that, going after, because what she said is when Harris went after Joe Biden regarding the federally mandated busing and how Harris, condemned Biden for it and said that's terrible, and I was one of the people that benefited from busing because she apparently was able to take a bus to go to school instead of attending the school that was in her area. She was able to attend a better school, and then she took a bus there when she was a younger child. And I think it was a perfectly fine thing to call Biden out on. Aside from any kind of like, trying to get herself attention, that could be, I mean, I guess you could see it as a tactic to get herself attention, but I mean, she said the right thing. Now, if Tulsi is saying that Kamala doesn't really care about it and doesn't really care about like the issue, I mean, again, Kamala did suffer, or I'm sorry, did benefit from the busing policies, the federally mandated busing policies. So I can kind of, looking at it objectively, I can see how obviously that it would be stupid to say that Kamala Harris doesn't care about that issue, but and to say that it's a political ploy just to get herself attention, I don't think so. That's just my opinion. I think there's a lot of other ways that Kamala Harris can try to, or has tried and would try and get attention. But at the same time, it's interesting because after the debate, I covered it. After the debate, Kamala Harris came out and said that she actually doesn't believe in federally mandated busing. I did a segment on it. I think it was a week or so. I think it was after the debate. Maybe it was like 10 days or something after the debates, because the debate was in the middle of the week. And then after that, I think I cut it the week after. The week after that, yeah. So, but she said she believed in like the idea, she believed in the policy of letting schools decide if they want to federally mandate, or I'm sorry, if they want to mandate busing. So she doesn't believe in like a full federal, full government, like the government or, federally mandating busing. So she flip-flopped on that, as she's flip-flopped on many other issues too, including Medicare for all and stuff like that. So, but I don't think it's necessarily like a political ploy, but she is definitely a flip-flopper, no doubt. Now, but when it comes to getting herself attention, I mean, I guess I could kind of see that, but at the same time, like I said, I just don't think that's the case, because she was affected by it. But let's get to like the core of like the kind of the response coming from from Kamala Harris's campaign, calling Tulsi Gabbard a cheerleader for Assad. I mean, that's rich. So this is coming from the same campaign whose candidate is a cheerleader for Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the Prime Minister of Israel. And I responded to this tweet, or one of the, I think it was a tweet from Near Tandon, I believe. I don't know, maybe it was this one, I don't know. But I responded to it by saying, I would prefer Assad's cheerleader over Netanyahu's cheerleader, or Bibi's cheerleader, because Bibi is the nickname or something for Benjamin Netanyahu. But that's what I said, and then I put a picture of Kamala Harris and Benjamin Netanyahu taking a picture, and that's actually the same picture I used for my thumbnail for the video I did where Kamala Harris compared the struggle of the Israeli people to the civil rights movement and what African Americans were going through during the civil rights movement. So ridiculous statement there from Kamala, and she's clearly just a shill for Israel. So it's fucking rich to claim that Tulsi Gabbard is a cheerleader for Assad. And you know what, this talking point about Tulsi being like this pro-Assad shill or something is complete bullshit. This is something that has been pushed since it was 2017. So it's been pushed since 2017. I thought it was earlier than that. 2017 though. Ever since then. So what happened? So ever since then they've been sparing Tulsi for going and meeting with Assad, and I think his wife too. I think Jill Stein did the same thing, and this has been used against her when in fact the goal of what Tulsi was doing was not to go there and just be like, oh my God, what's his name, Bashar al-Assad is just a wonderful guy. You're a wonderful person, and I support everything you're doing. And I don't support, your enemies and stuff, and or whatever she said. She never said anything like that. Her main goal in going there was to try and establish some sort of peace process between Syria and between the United States, because the United States is involved in a proxy war, essentially, where they're arming militias that actually are part of Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra, which is the Al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria, Al-Nusra. The United States is arming them. They were arming them under Obama, and they're also arming them under Trump. And when in 2017, Tulsi, she went to meet with Assad, and she wanted to push for a peace process and push for this radical idea of not having to bomb a country like Syria, which, by the way, has been fucking demolished by airstrikes and bombs, thanks to the United States, thanks to, I believe, Israel's involved as well. The only people that Assad and Syria are being defended by are Iran and Russia, and I think might be Lebanon. I don't know, but definitely Iran and Russia are on the side of Assad because they're allies with Assad, and Putin is allies with Assad, and I believe Rouhani is as well, and Hassan Rouhani, who's the president of Iran. So. Yeah, I mean, but they're pretending as if she went there and just fawned over Assad, bowed at his feet, kissed his hand, kissed his ring, and pretended like he's a wonderful guy, and he's not. I mean, to the credit of Assad, he is. I'm sorry, to the credit of the people that are critics of Assad, he is a dictator, and he isn't. I mean, he's not he is a democratically elected president. He was democratically elected, but how it is with. A lot of these kind of countries, and especially in the Middle East, a lot of them are so-called elected by the same thing in Iran, by the way, and they're so-called elected based on rigged. It's a rigged voting process. Basically, I think rigged voting process is putting it nicely. It's basically just a fascist, process where they only kind of count the votes that the supreme leader, which is Ali Khamenei, wants in for example, that's how it goes in Iran. The government of Syria essentially does it the same exact way because they're a dictatorship, and but that does not mean that anybody that meets with that dictator is a terrible person. So who's met with dictators before? Barack Obama. Barack Obama met with Hugo Chavez. He was somebody, and he got a lot of flack over that, and people were like, oh my God, President Obama shook the hand and smiled at Hugo Chavez. How dare he, meet with the leader of Venezuela, this terrible dictator. And, I think Obama, he also met with the Saudi prince. This was before Mohammed bin Salman, who's the current. He's essentially the current leader, the king of Saudi Arabia. And he's also a fucking fascist too. And Obama met with the last king who was, I think, the father of MBS, which is Mohammed bin Salman. And he kissed his ring or bowed down to him or some fucking shit, some weird shit. I don't know why they do this kind of stuff. Well, we know why, because the United States is beholden to the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, obviously, which is no surprise. But yeah, it's pretty pathetic, no doubt. And people didn't say anything about that though, which was kind of pretty ironic. They got it. They get mad at Obama meeting with, the head of Venezuela. I think, and then Obama, pushed for a lot of, push for peace with Cuba and stuff, and kind of, lifting the embargo and with the Cuban government. People attacked him for that and stuff. So anytime, anybody meets with so if it's somebody that isn't part of the establishment hates them. But then when somebody that is so, dares to be a critic of, the establishment, but it is part of the Democratic Party, like Tulsi Gabbard, they can't stand it. What happened to not attacking people within your own party? All of a sudden, you're okay with when you're attacking Tulsi Gabbard. These are the same people that couldn't stand that Bernie Sanders was attacking Hillary Clinton, and they said, "How dare you? How dare you? Attack the honor of this wonderful lady, Hillary Clinton." But then, when it comes to attacking Tulsi Gabbard, they're okay with it. So that rule is just goes completely out the window. They don't even give a shit. To them, it's like, okay, I gotta say what I gotta say against this person that dares to step on the toes of the establishment, the political establishment that has the power. And if you go against them, you are, I don't know, you're not a real Democrat, which is what they say against Bernie Sanders. Which is fine, and Bernie Sanders not being a Democrat is fine. I don't have any issue with it. But to Tulsi's credit, she is a Democrat, and they basically treat her as not being a real Democrat because she dares to criticize the Democratic Party, but then they can criticize her. So when they criticize her, it's okay. It's not attacking a Democrat, but when she does it, all of a sudden, oh my God, everybody, is aghast. They're aghast and they can't believe it, and yeah, so. Yeah, I would prefer, from my perspective, I would prefer somebody that stands with Bashar al-Assad and pushes for peace with Syria, a country we shouldn't be bombing, that we're bombing right now, instead of somebody that stands with Benjamin Netanyahu, who mercilessly kills innocent Palestinian people and and whose country, Israel, is committing apartheid against the Palestinian government. Against the Palestinian people. His government is committing apartheid against the Palestinian people. So don't give me this fucking bullshit about Assad's cheerleader. Your whole fucking party is cheerleaders for Benjamin Netanyahu and the right-wing Israeli government. You're Democrats, but you're supporting the right-wing Israeli government. How does that make any sense? How do you guys manage to, do that and actually sleep at night knowing that you're doing the right thing? Because you're not doing the right thing, and you're all fucking shills and pathetic Zionist assholes, pro-Zionist assholes. So, the cheerleader bullshit is just, I'll take a hard pass on all the pro-Zionist Democrats out there that are standing up for Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud government that pushes for right-wing positions and kills innocent people for no reason.